Hey everyone, welcome back to Backtrack Cinema. In this video, we'll be doing a movie review of the 1974 classic Death Wish, starring Charles Bronson. So get comfy, pop your popcorn, and let's talk some Death Wish. Death Wish was released on 1974, directed by Michael Winner and starring Charles Bronson, Hope Lang, Vincent Gardenia, and Stephen Keats. Hey everyone, welcome back to Backtrack Cinema. My name is Jason, and this is a place where we talk movies from the past that you love and want to see. But before we get to the review, guys, let me know in the comments below if you've seen Death Wish. You plan on seeing it? Have you seen this original movie from 1974? Let me know in the comments and we'll have a good discussion about Death Wish. And if you like the content I'm dishing out, if you like that Dirty Harry review, then hit the notification bell and subscribe button so you don't miss any more of the future content that I will be doing. All right, guys, Death Wish. This is a movie that I watched quite some time ago. My grandfather absolutely loved Charles Bronson. My uncle loved Charles Bronson. So this was these movies, the sling of movies he did in the 80s was a big influence on me as a movie fan. So Charles Bronson has always been one of my favorite action guys, Western guys, and all that jazz. And this is one of those 70s gritty revenge thrillers, and it fits in that genre that launched him into a big deal with Canon Films, where he did a whole slew of movies like the Death Wish sequels, and he did Murphy's Law and The Evil That Men Do and all sorts of stuff. And Charles Bronson is really known for this. He's known for Death Wish and this franchise. You know, it spawned 4 sequels, a remake with Bruce Willis. And I would like to note that Death Sentence, directed by James Wan, starring Kevin Bacon, is actually based on the same book, but the sequel to that book. Brian Garfield wrote Death Wish. He did a sequel called Death Sentence. And James Wan kind of reimagined that book, which I think is a fantastic movie. And as a bonus episode, I think we will cover that movie down the road. So definitely want to stay tuned for that. When a New York City architect becomes a one-man vigilante squad after his wife is murdered by street punks, in self-defense, the vengeful man kills muggers on the mean streets after dark. All right, guys, the first thing about this movie that I really like is that it has this really cold, dark, gritty, visceral feel to it. When he's walking along the streets at night where the thugs are watching him, it gets windy, it's chilly, it's dark. It just gives you that atmosphere that I really love. And when his wife gets murdered, you know, at her funeral, it's snowing and everything, just adding to that coldness and the coldness that the character descends into. Really enjoy all that stuff. And we start off with him and his wife on this trip to Hawaii. And that's where it's warm and it's nice and it's glowing and, you know, they're middle-aged, they're in love. And then we transition after she gets murdered, everything becomes dark, cold, like the character starts becoming. And we got to talk about this brutal attack on his family because this is 1974, man. And what they were showing in 1974, this is brutal. It's brutal to watch now. I can't imagine in 1974 how, you know, jaw-dropping this was. It forces you to watch. It makes you feel uncomfortable, unsettling. You know, they kill his wife. She dies in the hospital after she kind of gets knocked on the head, and she's forced to watch. And she feels so helpless because she's in a state of, she's delirious, right? Watching her daughter get raped. Awful stuff done in such a horrific way. And this leaves his daughter in a catatonic state. She has suffered something so horrific and gave her such trauma that she just becomes numb and they don't know what to do with her. And we find Paul Kersey tired of this, tired of not having no answers. They don't know who did it. They have no answers. The cop says it's likely we're never going to find them. And at this time in the 1970s, New York the crime rate was high. There was muggings and killings and people were scared to walk the streets at night. So this movie does have, it's playing into what was really happening at the time. One of our big plot points is Paul Kersey heads down to Arizona into gun country, the South, and he's there on a job and he meets a man who's a gun lover, has a gun. They go to a shooting range and we find more backstory on how Paul Kersey's this liberal guy. He's probably never had a confrontation. He's never had probably a bar fight even in his life. Very liberal thinking, but his dad was a hunter who died of a hunting accident, and he he did know how to shoot. So he knows how to use a gun and everything. And this man gives him a gun, which a 32 pistol, which he ends up using on the muggers at night later on the film. But this is our first big political statement of the movie about gun control, because they give you two arguments of, you know, at least down in Arizona, we can feel safe walking our streets because they can own a gun. And in New York, you can't, and look at the crime rate. So it's just kind of asking these questions, right? And I really like how we stay with Paul Kersey and his character arc. We start feeling what he's feeling. We start seeing the down spiral into vengeance he starts getting. He starts getting this insatiable lust for it, for the killing. At first, we start seeing him, he gets like pantyhose or socks or something. I think they're socks or something like that. He puts a bunch of quarters in them. And when he first gets attacked, he hits the guy, and this gives him this shot of adrenaline. When he gets home, he just starts swinging it around. Like, he starts getting hooked on this idea of vengeance. And then we move on to where he kills his first man. And I love this moment because when he kills his first man, it shows what that actually would do to you. He runs all the way home. He starts drinking. He has the shakes. He ends up puking in the toilet. Killing a man would never be easy. You're going down a path of this darkness, right? And by this time, Charles Bronson already had this tough persona by doing films of the past like Mr. Majestic, and he was in The Great Escape, The Magnificent Seven, all these things. And he had this tough guy image. And so one thing I look back at this movie, I think they should have showed more of a consequence of him taking revenge, more of a consequence of him becoming the vigilante and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think they do it in Death Sentence way better with Kevin Bacon, showing that, you know, it's really this exploration of taking vengeance and, you know, your heart starts filling with hate. But I think they could have showed a better job of all this in this movie, a better exploration of it. But for its time, it's not bad. I still like it. I still think Charles Bronson's great in the role and everything. I think his acting's pretty good in it. I think they just could have showed how he was this normal guy who just starts turning into one of these thugs like. And when he starts killing all these thugs on the mean streets of New York at night, you know, he starts being nicknamed as the vigilante. The police don't know who he is, but crime starts going down. The crime rate starts going down, and people start feeling safe again. People start fighting back in the streets. And I really like how they wrap the movie up, because they wrap the movie up where they give Charles Bronson, they know he's the vigilante, a cop, you know, hunts him down, and they give him an ultimatum. You know, you either leave New York or we're going to arrest you, basically. But they want to keep the idea of the vigilante in the streets to let criminals know that he's still out there, and that they're going to think twice when they go to mug someone. They're going to think twice about these things. So it's like the symbolism idea, this ideal. It kind of reminds me of, you know, when Batman Begins, where Batman's this symbol, you know, who's always there, and you don't know who it is, but he's always there. It reminds me of that with Death Wish. And it is directed well by Michael Winner. It's got this very, you stay with the character a lot. I like how he keeps you staying with the character, and even the shootout scenes, you know, are very good. They're kind of drawn out, like a Western in a way, like a modern Western, if you will. But the only thing is that, like, this guy has not been attacked his whole life. Then all of a sudden, when he starts walking the streets at night, it seems like every single thug is after him. Like, every time he goes out, so he would have been attacked a long time ago. That's something in the plot they could have handled better, executed better. And it's all set up just so he can take out more people. He can take out more thugs, you know what I'm saying? So, but Death Wish is a classic in the revenge thriller genre, and Charles Bronson is as cold as ice. All right, guys, so I'm going to give Death Wish from 1974 a solid B. All right, guys, thank you for watching my review. My name is Jason. This is Backtrack Cinema. And if you like this review, then go back and check out my Dirty Harry review. I will see you next time, guys. Have a good night, and I will see you in the movies, man. Cheers.